doing? Dear D, well, the bashing continues here in Miami. Rick and Suds have kept the truce, but the other hosts are raking you guys over the coals. The 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Neil Rogers host never lets 15 minutes pass by without knocking you guys. In fact, he has said he will make it his mission to get your show off WIOD.
Aha!
And Randi Rhodes, who is a female Neil clone, keeps saying that her audience should turn off their radios at 11 p.m. rather than listen to your show that follows hers.
Isn't that nice?
I understood the hostility when you first started in Miami, but I don't see why the other hosts are still so psychotic now. Neil Rogers has been in this market for 17 years, and I have never seen him running so scared before. My guess is everyone is worried you guys are going to go live an afternoon drive on WIOD. By the way, blah, blah, loved your Graceland show. Your show's grown on me. I listen to reruns of your show. The WIOD plays on the weekend. Keep on trucking, my brothers. Hoping to hear you live in Miami. This guy's named John Dolan.
Okay, running scared. Now, beginning to paint a little picture here. I'm beginning to understand why perhaps this guy, Neil Rogers, is doing what he's doing. Perhaps he is scared. He's worried for his job.
No competition. I mean, look at the guys down in Miami. The guy's never had any competition. First off, who wants to believe anything from a guy that's working 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.? I mean, you know, if you want to really fight the battle, you want to fight the good fight,
right?
Get into one of the drive times.
And I would say that there has to be some advance notice of our arrival here to have all this venom coming out of this guy. It's still crazy. I don't get it.
Well, so then we're wondering, how can we fight back?
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to do a little research into this guy, Neil Rogers.
Okay.
And I'll call as my first witness, Bob the cagey intern.
Ah, Bob doing his job.
You remember Bob? Bob's been in touch with, I believe it was the Miami Herald. Is that the big newspaper down there?
I think the Miami Herald is the biggie.
Now, I'm not sure exactly which one of the WIOD DJs was involved in the story that we're about to talk about. I had heard that it was this big mouth that does the midday show that says he's going to write us out of town.
Right.
And gee, why so sensitive, would you think? If we're on at 11 o'clock at night, why would they really care?
Perhaps they're thinking of taking our show from the evening and putting it into the midday slot. I mean, who knows? That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe, maybe he's heard things like that.
Well, we heard something about this guy. And Bob, can you tell us now the very latest on your investigative mission into an incident that happened in Miami in February of 1993?
Okay,
we'll call it the Pee Wee Herman incident.
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
Well, can I describe the incident as the rumor has it?
Sure. Now, who did you call on this?
Okay, first I called a couple of newspapers down there to confirm the story in the archives of their, backlogs of newspapers. I called the Miami Herald, which is a major newspaper down there. They run Dave Barry. It's a very popular column. Basically,
What does Dave Barry have to do with anything, Bob?
Well, he's famous for being running out of the Miami Herald.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay.
Just a little tidbit. That's his like home newspaper, I guess.
You're a step ahead, Bob.
Bob attempting to give the story, as much credibility
A little
as
bit of
possible.
background.
All right.
That's okay. My apologies, Bob.
I spoke to someone in the library there at the Miami Herald, and I said, well, listen, I'm looking for a story about a radio personality down there named Neil Rogers and a rumor about him masturbating in a gay movie theater. Mm-hmm. Him being caught masturbating in a gay movie theater.
You had heard this rumor?
Yes, we received an anonymous tip about this rumor.
If you'll pardon the pun.
Yeah, well, and so she sort of chuckled and said, yes, I've heard of that. I thought it was very funny at the time, but that was a while ago. And I said, yeah, what about February of 93? And she said, yeah, the February 93. And so she's looking into it. She's going to find us an article about it and send it up to us. But she did.
Was it him?
She wasn't sure, but she said it was a radio personality in Miami, and he was caught masturbating in a gay movie theater.
So where did you hear the rumor originally?
I can't say the guy's name.
Yeah, we can't.
Okay.
We can't.
You heard it from a listener?
No,
Yes.
not from a listener.
Oh, okay.
From a person that works here at this radio station right here.
Oh, that person. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, now I know. All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you with us?
Yeah.
So the next step is, well, what do we do? Do we start calling him Pee Wee? I mean, has anybody done this? Is he the guy? Why is he jerking our chains on the show?
Yeah, we just want to know where's it all coming from.
Hey, would you get the number of the station in Miami? Maybe we should just call the program director.
Let's find out.
I've got it right here.
Oh, you do, Bob. So handy. Bob the intern. What's his name? Do we know?
I'm not sure the guy's name, but I spoke to the receptionist and she hung up on me.
The program director. Why did the receptionist hang up on you?
Well, I said, I called with a artificial name and an artificial location, and she said that is not true and hung up on me.
Okay.
What's the PD's name, Diana?
Do we have his name?
Gary Bruce. Okay, very good. We'll figure it out right here.
And Neil Rogers is not in now.
No, I don't want to talk to him anyway.
I'll talk to the PD, too. I think this will enlighten us here.
Maybe he's out at the movies. Hello?
Hello?
Is this WIOD?
Yes, it is.
Hi, yeah, this is the Don and Mike Show, and we're on the air. We'd like to speak to Gary Bruce, please.
Hold on 1 second.
Good. I'd love to chat with this guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Find out exactly what's going on.
And anyway, like I say, since yesterday, we kind of had a collective change of heart that we'd rather just stick it out on this station until they move us to another shift rather than pull away and try to get picked up by another station in Miami who will run the show live.
Hang in there.
You bet.
That's it. Tough it out.
Wow, what a great story that is.
Hey, interesting.
She reiterated several times at the Miami Herald that this was true. So,
And the guy's show really blows. I mean, they can say whatever they want about us down there. I got on the phone and I listened to it. That was it. Casey Kasem rave out tape. Mike Tyson beats up chicken parody spots.
2 pieces of tape that he had nothing to do with.
Right, that he was just playing.
Hold on, let me try again.
Thank you.
All right. You think this guy will come on the air with us?
Oh, I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah.
You know, the guy hasn't taken our calls. The guy signed up for our show, and he won't take our calls.
It's ridiculous.
You know, something screwy's going on there. You know, you got to wonder why they picked it up in the first place.
Absolutely.
You know, to run it out a day part and then never even talk to us. I mean, we've never done the sweepers, we've never done the liners, and they just don't seem to care.
No, they don't care a bit. Didn't they, was it Tampa or was it Miami where early on they wanted us to record some stuff for them that was kind of...
It was Miami, and it was from this guy, the program director.
Fueling the fire, and we didn't want to go along with that because we thought we were being used.
Right. It was against those guys in the afternoon.
Right.
Remember?
I'm sorry, apparently he is not in the office. Would you like to leave a message?
Yes. Would you please tell him to call Don and Mike, and he's got our number?
Don and Mike?
Yeah.
Alrighty,
And
I'll
also,
let him know.
we were curious about the air personality in Miami who was arrested for masturbating at a gay theater back in February. Would you happen to know who that was?
I have no idea, sir.
You've never heard of that story?
Never heard of that story.
You've never heard of it before. Well, they've heard of it at the Miami Herald.
I haven't heard of it. No.
You wouldn't know what station that guy works for, would you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Just curious.
Okay.
Do you think the person works at WIOD?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I mean, hey, you want to play with the big boys, play with the big boys.
Sure. I mean, if it's a newspaper story, we want to find out about it.
Plus, I won't even tap into another part of this guy's show that I found to be totally off the wall.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know where this guy is coming from on this. Well, I'll save it for later. I'll save it. It was just the nail in the coffin.
You mean there's more?
Oh, yeah, there's more. And I'll get you to it later. Well, Bob, see if you can stay on that story.
okay.
Please call the Miami Herald, call the other paper down there, call the other radio stations. As a matter of
Sure.
fact, I got a friend down there. Somebody bring me the number of Power 96.
All right.
This will be a great chance, Mike, for you to meet a guy that I haven't spoken to for 15 years, but you've heard about him, Don Cox.
Oh, my. He'd probably know about this, wouldn't he?
The Mafia guy. I mean, at least when I knew him, when I broke into radio back in the mid-'70s,
Right.
this guy, he was like my big brother.
Mm-hmm.
13Q in Pittsburgh, it was the first major market station I was ever hired at.
A lot of people don't realize that your early years in radio were a lot like the movie Goodfellas.
Well, I actually in Pittsburgh kind of lived that life. I was 17 years old. First time I moved away from home. I go to Pittsburgh, making some pretty good money, being a nighttime rock and roll disc jockey. And this guy, Don Cox, turned out to be like my big brother. He said, listen, if there's anything you need, you come to me. One day he gave me a little packet, and inside was a Pennsylvania driver's license, a gun permit, and one of those little courtesy cards you give to a cop if you're pulled over. I said, wait, I didn't even apply for this stuff. I got it for you.
Secret agent, man.
He was always having me do stuff. He did the afternoon show. So I would pull into the station about 5 because I went on at 6. He was always doing stuff like having me run to the bank for him and make big deposits, big cash deposits. But, you know, I was just like a kid out of high school. Okay, Mr. Cox, I'll be glad to.
Little wide-eyed, was he?
I would go to his house on the weekend. I would spend all weekend at his house because his wife would do my laundry. This is the kind of relationship I had with this guy. I was almost like his son, and he's the guy I told you that one night we were out just driving around Pittsburgh.
And he fired the gun?
And he stopped in front of this residential neighborhood. And I said, what are you doing? And he reached in the glove compartment. He pulled out a gun, had a permit for it, went boom up in the air. I'm like, Jesus, what are you doing? He said, that's Savage's house over there. That's Bob Savage's house, the program director. I found out right away what Don Cox is all about.
And you still, have you maintained your closeness with him over the years?
No, here's where we fell apart.
Yes.
Of course, I also had a trip to Miami with him to see Casey and the Sunshine Band, which I guess I shouldn't talk about.
He was part of that, huh?
He was part of that trip also. Then what happened was I ended up quitting this station in Pittsburgh. I got a job in New York City. I ended up getting fired in New York City. And what a come down this one was I had to go live with my parents. I had no money, and I had to go live with my parents. I went from working in New York City to living with my parents.
Oh!
Hello! So one day I'm out of work. I'm waiting for a job at a radio station. This had to be like 1978. Phone rings. It's this guy, Don Cox. Unfortunately, he talked to my mother. My mother had heard some of my stories about Don Cox. I told my parents about, driving around, he pulls out the gun.
Right.
He wants to offer me a job in Chicago.
Your mom and dad were not all for that, I guess.
My mom turned him down. I came to the phone and I said, who was it? It was that evil man, Don Cox. I don't want you working in Chicago. Dad and I don't want you going to Chicago and getting hooked up with him again.
Yeah, you shouldn't have told him about the gun.
Yeah, well, as it turns out, he didn't hire me then. Told me my mom's crazy. That's the last time I ever talked to him.
That was it?
That was it.
This will be interesting.
But I'm sure he'll remember me. He was a good guy.
Now, is he on now?
I think.
Good.
He also served some time in prison for some kind of drug charge.
Oh, my God.
Really, he did when he was working at Y100 down there. But I think he's all straight now.
Well, office.
Hello, is this Power 96?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wrong number.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Sorry, wrong number. Well, this will be kind of an information call and also a reunion for you with one of your radio brothers from days of old.
I loved him. Yeah, he took me under his wing, His wife did my laundry. I swam at his pool. I ate at his house.
Your formative years.
I watched him shoot his guns.
And you're so anti-gun now. That's
I was anti-gun then, Mike.
I'm surprised you didn't go the other way. I guess you were afeared.
Oh, very afeared.
Afeared of guns.
Very afeared. It's right across the street from the program director's house. Hey, is this the, Diana, looks like this might be the request line. Are we sure? It's the business, okay? All right, well, let's see how they do business in Miami.
Well, obviously a little slower than they do in Washington.
All right, let me redial. Bear with me. 1-305-653. Oops.
I'm glad you weren't influenced by guys like that. I really am. I'm glad that you didn't, that you're not walking around now with a holster and a sidearm, firing guns up into the air.
Bill Clinton shooting targets.
Hey, baby.
Hello. Here you go, baby.
Hello.
Hello. Mail call.
Hello?
Hello, is this Power 96?
No.
Christ, what is wrong with me? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right, wait a minute.
I was going to say they had quite a receptionist if that was the radio station.
6796.
An older young lady.
Okay, got it. And this is also we can find out if the story about the DJ in Miami that's saying bad things about us is true.
Right.
That's all. That's why.
And also,
Afternoon, Power 96.
Finally. Hello, is Don Cox there?
He's on the air.
Yes, this is the Don and Mike radio show, and we're live on the air right now. Is he playing a record?
Yes, he is.
Will you call into the studio and tell him that Don Geronimo is on the phone and see if he will take my call?
Hold for just 1 second, please.
Thank you. How come he's busting our ass all the time?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because they didn't. Maybe it's because that's just the way he gets to know people.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like, let's see how much mud I can throw at you before you start slapping back.
Well, we're slapping back.
Okay, well, that's the way you get his attention, I think.
Okay, hey, hold on a second. I want to talk to you off the radio, okay?
Okay, good.
Crazy. He's crazy.
well, there you have it. So, I mean, it sounds to me like it was something happened and then nothing ever came of it, but at least there were some accusations floating around.
We'll find out more about it.
Yes. Right.
And who knows, like Cox says, maybe it's just his way of greeting us and welcoming us.
Well, you haven't talked to your friend Mr. Cox in 15 years, so maybe he can, maybe off the air he can enlighten you further.
Did I ever tell you what? Oh, man, he'd really get mad at me if I told you this one. What Cox did one time?
What's that?
Hold on, let me see. Hey, Cox? Hello? Hey, listen, we're still on the air.
We're still on the air?
Yeah. How much? Never mind. Hold on a second. Hold on.
What?
He wants, did I ever tell you what he did to the program director's house?
You told that story, I think, didn't you?
About About how he hired a guy to break into the PD's house and rip off all this stuff.
Maybe you told me that one off the air.
He was a great guy to work for. He taught me how to hate program directors from way back. Let's break for some commercials, and we'll be right back.
This is the Don and Mike Show.
I think I'm going crazy.
Two big nostrils. But like there's always one stuffed up, you know? Rick and Suds. Afternoons at 2 on News Talk Radio 610 WIOD. And now, more Don and Mike.
You got it. More with Don and Mike.
And thanks a buttload for listening to our show on WJFK FM Washington, WJFK AM Baltimore, Big 1520 KB Buffalo, New York, 1010 Talks WQIK Tampa, Florida, WLAS Jacksonville, North Carolina, and yeah, WIOD Miami. Hey, Diana, would you please try to get that program director from the Miami station on the air here today?
This guy owes it to us to at least chat with us and explain to us what's going on.
Because before we get into any kind of real stupid fight with disc jockeys down there, we should find out exactly why they hired us in the first place on that station.
And it is kind of new for us. It's kind of weird to experience this long distance because we do have the extreme disadvantage of being up here, and we can't hear what's going on down there.
And see, we've got some friends that listen down there, and they call back. They call their friends.
Sure.
That tell our friends, and then our friends tell us, and you know how that goes. By the time it works through like 8 different tellings of the story, who knows what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the story can start out, conceivably it could start out with one of them saying something along the lines of, Don and Mike show coming up at 11 o'clock. If you're going to the ball game, you got a fat chance of listening. And then somebody hears that, and by the time it gets back to us, you were accused of being obese pigs. And, sometimes that kind of stuff happens.
I don't think that's exactly what's happening, at least based on not only the phone calls from friends of the show down there, but from some of the electronic mail we've been receiving.
I know it isn't exactly happening like that, but people can tend to embellish a little bit.
But if, in fact, it's now become a quest for some of these disc jockeys down there to get our show off that station,
we got to dig our heels in.
Then we want to be on that station. Mm-hmm. We want to be on until they get fired and they run our show live.
Yeah, it's weird the way my psychotic brain works sometimes, though, but I think that perhaps if they're trying to create the image, I still go back to that the motivations of that program director. And
the guy that sent us the list of reads about WIOD?
Yeah, I still go back to whether they might indeed be wanting us on that radio station to keep us out of afternoon drive, competing against those 2 other fellas. Who knows what's going on down there?
But why would they send us the stuff that pretty much puts us at odds with the other disc jockeys? That's something we got to ask the program director
Very
about.
strange.
So we'll find out what's going on. All of that happening during the show today, plus a lot of other stuff, including the return of Celebrity Pokes today.
All right.
We're going to have fun with phone booths. Oh, a neat, wacky new way DJs on WIOD run us down. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me for 2 guys that are on at 11 o'clock at night, they are sure worried about us.
Yeah, it's a strange phenomenon. We don't really understand what their motivations are, but they are indeed talking about us.
Now, the only way I could describe the Midday Guys show to you, the guy that is really on our butts, is his whole show is made up of saying the words GD and a-hole.
Oh,
and douchebag.
Oh, really?
I spent 15 minutes on the listen line today, and it was, I heard him talking about us a little bit. Oh, those GD a-holes, who do they think they are? And then people call up and say, yeah, hello, his name is Neil Rogers, that's his name. They go, Neil, hi, my name's Don. I'd like to say, can I say my friend Mike is a douchebag? And he goes, yeah, sure. And then the guy goes, hey, Mike, you're a douchebag. And he goes, all right, hey, thanks for the call. WIOD, hello.
Highly creative.
So that's where that guy's head is at. And then right before we went on the air today, double the ratings of those idiots on WIOD.
That's right. Well, then where does all this come from?
I don't know. If you're not kicking ass in Miami,
who do they think they are?
You got nowhere to come looking for a fight with us. Your stupid station just bought our show.
Right.
So that's our response to that.
And I tell you, those ratings aren't going to go up for those guys when they're dwelling with the 11 o'clock show that's not even been in the market.
And all I know is that this show is so fabulous, this show is so truly entertaining, that if those idiots keep talking about us, eventually people are going to listen. You know what? And I'm a guy that falls into that category. If somebody tells me not to do something enough, I really want to do it.
Right.
And I got to think, if there are people in Miami who are listening to the station, although, to look at the ratings, there are a very dwindling number listening to the station.
And I can hear the people that are listening to us now saying, well, Don and Mike, here's exactly what they're doing. They're talking about you, and they're creating this controversy, so they will get people to listen to you. Well, I got news for you. In this business, if that was the case, we would get a return call from the program director who would be explaining that to us, and that hasn't happened.
So I think, in a weird way, that it's going to help us, because anybody who listens to these shows down in Miami knows how culturally starved they are. I mean, if this passes for entertainment, a guy on in the middle of the day just saying GD and a-hole and douchebag, please. And that guy's got the highest ratings on the station.
Weird.
I mean, that's a weird situation. It can do nothing but help us. If they say don't listen to Don and Mike, there have got to be a certain percentage of people in Miami who don't buy it, who will say, well, I'm going to listen to their show just to see what they're all about.
And we're going to figure it out. We're going to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, we are. All I know is if I was in 10th place in the ratings, I wouldn't be calling up trying to slam some out-of-town radio show. I'd be trying to beat those 9 stations in front of me in the ratings in Miami. That's all I got to say. Cox on the radio. More power to him. Listen to him an afternoon drive
there you
on,
go.
What is this station? Hold on a second. WPOW.
All right.
Hey, everybody, make the power switch.
Pow.
Make the power switch of the afternoon.
Pow.
So that's the latest on Miami.
All right.
That's it. This will fry their butts real good, because this runs at 11 o'clock, when they all must be gathering around the radios listening, if they're not huddled in the program director's office right now listening to the feed.
There's a guy I'd like to meet.
Well, this is a guy who yesterday, the sniveling program director, had to be in his office listening, because when Diana tried to call him, he said, hey, how come you put the receptionist on the air? So he knew that we had called the station looking for him.
Yeah, I'd like to meet this guy. I don't even want to talk to him on the phone. I'd like to meet him personally. I just have this incredible desire to meet the man personally.
So that's what's happening in Miami. Those are the ratings for the various shows there in Miami.
That's the biggest mystery of all. These guys, you would think that these guys are legends down there, the way they conduct themselves. But
10th place in the ratings.
Come on now.
Now, anybody can go through the ratings. I'm sure they're going to get on in rebuttal and say, wait a minute, hold on. But among one-legged men who have never had sex with a woman and answered the name of Bubba, we're number one with a 10.8 share. Well, we can play that game, too. I mean, anybody can find a demographic they're number one in. The rating we look at is 12 plus.
That's it.
All people that listen to your radio show.
Mm-hmm.
All ages, all sizes, all shapes, all colors. And what are our ratings right now? In Washington, number 3.
That's right.
We're number 3, 12 plus.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to play the other game, we're number 125 to 54. We're number 125 to 49. We're top 5 in men. We're top 5 in women. Hell, we're top 5 in teens.
It's that magic top 5.
35 to 64. We got ratings at 35 to 64. That's why we're on WIOD.
And Dick and Pud have a long way to go before they even reach the top 5.
It's this beautiful audience right here in Washington, D.C. that has enabled us to take the show and do it nationally. And we are simply here to help the poor saps at WIOD who can't manage to finish above 10th place in the ratings.
And everywhere else, we're very happy. We're excited about Tampa Bay and the people down there, and in Buffalo, and also in little old Jacksonville, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune. We're excited about all those markets.
And that's 500,000 people, incidentally. I know I'm a little defensive about this, but Jacksonville, North Carolina is a 500,000 people strong.
And a lot of those guys that are going, as long as you have the Marines on your side, I think you're doing all right.
They're all going to buy into the Don and Mike show. They're all going to buy into our evil plot.
That's right.
And then someday we bring our stormtroopers into Miami, then it's all over.
Absolutely. That's when we control the world. That's when we're like Flash Gordon.
So thanks for listening wherever you are. We're not going to say the call letters of the Miami station anymore.
Okay.
WIOD. My wife, for one, has been saying to me, and I know she's right about it, she's like, why are you wasting so much energy on this stupid station? They run your show at 11 o'clock at night. You can't even hear what these idiot disc jockeys are saying about you.
Right.
Why are you getting so worked up about it? Well, because they didn't really enter into this fairly. If you want to pick up our show, pick it up and run it and promote it like a real part of your radio station.
Don't scam us, and, that's just not a good way to play the game. In fact, I'm not familiar with anybody doing that regarding, this is so new, this syndication in this business. I've never heard of someone doing that. I mean, if they're actually taking our show for the purposes of slamming us, it's ridiculous.
All I can see here when I look at the Arbitron ratings for spring 1993 is that perhaps we are being brought in as some kind of a stopgap measure for these afternoon ratings. Somebody's got to put a finger in this dike. Let me see. In Cume, they're in 13th place. Cume rating, they're in 13th place. Average quarter hour, they're in 10th place. And, of course, their share, they're in 10th place. I mean, if I had the 10th ranked radio show in Miami and I was supposed to be doing personality, I might have somebody on the on-deck circle, too. That's all I got to say.
That's right.
Boys, when you get some real ratings, then we'll fight you. But until then,
Bingo.
You kiss my ass.
Oh, that's great. There it is. The ultimate sign-off. What a satisfying way to start a Friday.
And that's the only profanity we use here on the Don and Mike Show, incidentally. Because I think, as we all know, ass is a beautiful word, whether it's used Mike Ditka style.
Yep.